everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're reviewing Ric Flair's last match. And not only his match, but the entire card for the show. I'm going to get right into this. If you haven't seen any of my shows before, I review everything. I rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right in. First two matches are from the pre-show. First up, we get a match representing New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ren Narita versus Yuya Uemura. Two guys I'm really familiar with. I love Yuya Uemura, I love Narita. I watched a lot of their work, especially Uemura and New Japan Strong. I think these guys are awesome. I think they're future stars in New Japan. Narita picks up the win here. I'm going to give this one a 3. I thought it was a really good first match of the show. After that, we get a promo, which is supposed to be Ric Flair, but it's Jay Lethal and Karen Jarrett, and Jay does a little bit of the Ric Flair impersonation, and then talks about how ridiculous Ric Flair is. Nice little promo. Jay Lethal's a good promo guy. After that, it's definitely something they put in here to help entice you to buy the show. After that, we get announced that the Bunkhouse Battle Royal is going to start, but Frank the Clown jumps into the ring, starts running down Ric Flair, which brings out Jacob Fatu. Frank runs away from Jacob Fatu, backs into his, I don't know if him and Noelle are still dating, but backs into Mick Foley, who kind of chases him back to the ring where Fatu can beat him up a little bit. Another decent thing. Then we get right into the Bunkhouse Battle Royal. I'm not going to run down everybody in here. We had Wolfie D was in there. Bully Ray was in there. A lot of the GCW wrestlers came down and got involved. Definitely, and we'll get to this in a moment here. Pretty solid Battle Royal. I like Battle Royals. It didn't lean a lot on the Bunkhouse aspect, especially with the GCW guys. I kind of expected them to bring a little bit more violence than they did. The end comes where Bully Ray looks to throw out Mance Warner. Mance turns it around. Mance Warner picks up the win here. I'm going to give this a 3. I thought it was a solid Battle Royal. Not a great one, but pretty decent. It's a perfect kind of match to put on a pre-show if you want to help entice people to buy the show. From that, we get a couple, and they sprinkle these all through the night. They show like Sting, Cody Rhodes, Jim Ross, JBL, all talking about Ric Flair. Then we go to the main show. First match of the main show is the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards versus the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. This was my second favorite match of the night. I thought this was a fantastic match. Both teams look like they have not lost a step at all. It's kind of interesting because the Wolves haven't really teamed much in recent years, and the Machine Guns have more so. Really good match, really hot opener for the actual open of the pay-per-view. Machine Guns pick up the win here. I'm going to give this one a 5. Now, coming from one of my favorite matches, we go to my least favorite match of the night. And it's not due to the participants, because I like both of them. We got Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus Killer Cross, who has Scarlett Bordeaux with him. I don't know what it was, but this match just didn't work for me. I know these two guys are good. I know Davey Boy especially is really good. Killer Cross, I enjoy his work. I don't know if... I kind of got the vibe that he was phoning this in. Like maybe his ideas are elsewhere. I just don't know. It just didn't feel... It wasn't a good match. Killer Cross does pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a 2. Coming from that, we get a Fatal 4-Way. The winner gets a chance at the Progress Wrestling World Championship. We get Jonathan Gresham versus Alan Angels versus Nick Wayne versus Konosuke Takeshita. I like this match. Again, I feel like there wasn't a lot of couple of these matches on the card. I felt like they didn't quite give the time to fully develop and become better matches. This being one of them. I enjoyed it. The more I'm seeing of Nick Wayne, the more he grows by leaps and bounds. Takeshita, he's an amazing talent. I mean, he's been wrestling for 10 years. They kind of act like he's a new talent or a rookie, but he's not. He's been in DDT for 10 years. Gresham definitely looked better here than he did at Death Before Dishonor. Alan Angels, again, a guy who got a little bit lost in the shuffle in AEW, but he put on a solid show here. Gresham picks up the win. I'm going to give this one a 3 as well. I thought it was pretty good. Next up, we get a match with Ricky and Kerry Morton being brought to the ring by Robert Gibson versus Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson being brought to the ring by Arn Anderson. Arn says they're going to do this Horseman style, and the guys come out in Horseman shirts, and Pillman has what looks to be his father's Horseman tights, which is a pretty cool thing to have there. This was a really solid match. I enjoyed the back and forth. Ricky Morton, someone said it on commentary, I forget who it was. Anytime you get a chance to get in the ring, I think Nick Aldis, because Nick Aldis is on commentary for this. Anytime you get a chance to be in the ring with a guy like Ricky Morton, you're going to better yourself. And for guys like Pillman and Brock Anderson, it's going to help them immensely, in my opinion. I like this pairing of Pillman and Brock Anderson. I hate to say it, but I like them more than Pillman's actual tag team partner, Griff Garrison, in the Varsity Blondes. I think this is a little bit better tag team, in my opinion. And no knock on Griff. I just enjoyed this better. It did have a Horseman vibe to it. Pillman and Brock Anderson pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a 4. I thought it was a really solid match. Next up, we have my favorite match of the night. Bandito versus Laredo Kid versus Black Taurus versus Rey Fenix. I have loved this match. These are 4 guys, 4 of the big stars in AAA. 4 of the guys that absolutely bring it every time they're in the ring. Rey Fenix, and someone said it on commentary, and I don't disagree. He's pretty much this generation's Rey Mysterio. Bandito's absolutely amazing. Laredo Kid as well. Black Taurus, for what he is and what he can do, he is an outstanding wrestler. All 4 of these guys dialed it up to 11, and they put on a AAA main event match in the middle of the card here. This is something that you would see at Triple Mania. This is something you would see at any big-time AAA card. This was an awesome Fatal 4-Way match. Rey Fenix does pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a 5. Now, next up, we get an Impact Wrestling World Championship match. Josh Alexander defending against Jacob Fatu. This was a really good match. I kind of was wondering where they were going to go with this, because I didn't think that Impact would want Alexander to lose, and I definitely didn't think that MLW, with how strong they booked Jacob Fatu, they would want him to lose. We found out what they decided to do to get themselves out of that. The Major Figure podcast comes out. Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, and Mark Sterling cause a double disqualification or no contest. They're standing there, which eventually brings in the ring's cleared for Cardona. Cardona's staring down Josh Alexander. Out of the crowd comes Diamond Dallas Page and hits a diamond cutter on Cardona for probably one of the bigger pops of the night. It's a shame we didn't get to see this match as an actual match and there was a schmaz at the end. Even with that, I'm going to give it a 4. I thought it was entertaining. The DDP, diamond cutter. I'd love to see Alexander and Fatu go at it again and have an actual match and have an actual outcome. I think they're both very great wrestlers. I think they would make an awesome main event. Next up, we get a backstage interview in Jeff Jarrett's locker, which is opened up by Jarrett. Cool little piece in here. Jerry the King Lawler's in there with Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett, and they talk about how Lawler and the older Jarrett trained Jeff, and they were definitely going to be there. They talk about Ric Flair's strut, which is actually Jackie Fargo's strut. So they ask Jeff to do the Fargo strut. It was just an awesome piece of business, being that they were in Nashville, a place that these guys owned for decades. Jarrett and Lawler as the promoters, Jarrett wrestling, Lawler wrestling, Jeff Jarrett wrestling. Just a fantastic little segment there, kind of to break up the matches a bit. Coming from that, we get a match between two teams of brothers, Marshall and Ross Von Erich, going up against the Briscoe brothers, Mark and Jay. I thought this was a really good match again. I like the Von Erich boys. I love the Briscoes. The Briscoes are absolutely one of the best tag teams in the world and have been for 20 years. This was a fantastic match. I really enjoyed this. I really liked what the Briscoes did, what the Von Erichs did here. Von Erichs, in my opinion, on a little bit bigger stage than they've been, so maybe they're going to get some more eyes on them to show just how good they really are. Briscoes pick up the win. I'm going to give this one a 4 as well. Next up, we go into a three-way match for the Knockout Women's Championship of Impact. We get Jordynne Grace defending against Rachel Ellering and Deonna Purrazzo. Rachel Ellering looks to injure her ankle early in the match. I don't know if it was legit. It kind of looked legit to me. They continued on. To me, I think that's what kind of hampered the match. There was probably more that was supposed to happen and more that they had planned out that couldn't happen at that point. Jordynne Grace does pick up the win here. I'm going to give this match a 3. A little bit of a downer, but with the injury, I think it's something that hampered the match and changed it a little bit, in my opinion. And last but not least, the match that we came here for, Ric Flair's last match, quote unquote. We see The Undertaker in the crowd, Michelle McCool, Mick Foley, Bret Hart, Conrad Thompson, his daughter Megan, Kid Rock's in the crowd, again for the second night in a row, Kid Rock's at a wrestling show. Then we get Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett against Ric Flair and Andre El Idolo, Ric Flair's son-in-law. Okay. Don't get me wrong when I say this, Ric Flair is an absolute legend. He showed in there why he should not be in the ring. If this was just, he couldn't do anything like he used to be able to, and not even close. And I'm not trying to talk bad about the guy, because he absolutely deserved to do this. And I absolutely plunked my money down to watch this because of him. There were times it felt a little uncomfortable, seeing how old he was and how much trouble he was having in the ring. Him bleeding for being a 70-something-year-old man. It was scary. There were some scary parts. We know he has a pacemaker. I mean, there were scary parts to the match, in my opinion. Jarrett, Lethal, and Andrade tried, and they worked around it masterfully. They got the best that they could out of this match. Andrade and Flair pick up the win after Flair hits a brass knuck shot on Jeff Jarrett, puts him in the figure 4, and gets a pinfall out of it. I hate seeing Ric Flair like that, but I love the fact that he was able to have that and go out on his own terms. I mean, this is Ric Flair. Again, I knew it was going to be a spectacle. I hope this is the last match he does. I really do. I don't want to see him wrestle again. For what it was awesome getting to see the Nature Boy one more time. Even if it's the Nature Boy at 20% of what he was in his prime, it's still Ric Flair, the greatest, or one of the handful that you would consider the greatest of all time. I'm going to reserve my normal match rating for this because, out of respect for Ric Flair, I don't want to rate it what it probably should be rated. And I'm going to give this one a special rating just for Ric Flair. This match gets a 16 for the 16-time world champion. I really enjoy the fact that we got to go out with Ric Flair, Tony Schiavone being there, David Crockett being there, all the different promotions that sent wrestlers, New Japan, MLW, Progress, Game Changer Wrestling, Impact Wrestling. There were just everybody all over the card. AEW unofficially, there were AEW wrestlers on the card. DDT with Takeshita. I mean, just an amazing array of talent on here, celebrating one of the greats of all time, one of the legends in wrestling. Again, I like I said, I'll hold my actual judgment on the match to myself. If you watch it, you understand. I thought it was a really good show from the beginning to the end. Overall, I'm going to give the whole show a 4. I thought it was really good. It flew by, it went by quick. With almost 4 hours of action, it definitely didn't feel like it. It felt like it flew by in 2. With all that being said, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, share the video if you could, and if you made it all the way to the end, give me a woo in the comments for the Nature Boy, and I'm going to do a better one here in a moment to let me know you made it to the end of the video. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been my review of Ric Flair's last match. Woo!